with political activities themselves, to go and work in their local communities, to get involved, to try and make change, because that's how we're going to change
All what you're saying is good, but now I'm going to go back. Do you also blame the president?
I mean, it's difficult to place blame on one person.
You don't want to answer. You don't want to answer. Yeah, go ahead.
You don't have to answer. Everyone can see. But the thing is, people are appealing to the most low and under-informed populace ever. We have to deal in terminology like this.
You're talking about Rush Limbaugh, low information voters. There we go. Go ahead. Yeah, you win. Yeah.
The ad hominem is not just unpleasant, it's distracting. Serious issues should be treated seriously. And when you're calling names, you're not treating the issue seriously.
I agree with that. You would rather have more substantive. Yeah, hi.
And not only are we, within the White House, we're calling names to each other. And then I think when things happen overseas, things like Benghazi, with the Boston bombers, these other issues, or Syria, we drew that red line and we were so scared to actually go ahead and attack. We are so violent against each other and hostile, yet when these other people outside of America bring in these issues, we're scared to call them by what they are, whether they're terrorists or whatever.
That bothers me a lot.
Yeah, so we're so hostile to each other, yet when these other countries come in the picture, we don't take care of that.
Go ahead, jump in.
To be honest, I think that you have to realize that for the past 4 years, Obama's been facing one of the most obstructionist Congresses in the history of the U.S. Now, I think that's a real problem.
He's not a leader.
Didn't the American people voted for divided government? Isn't the way? Didn't our founders and framers? Didn't they see this and didn't they structure government to be that way? Mike, you've been Mr. Quiet over there. Go ahead.
Well, I've been Mr. Quiet because I don't support either party, outright. But we study generational trends. No, we study generational trends. And the thing that I think is missing and frankly offensive to me in this conversation overall is that we've characterized millennials as unemployed, not having insurance, moving back home, all this mess.
No, wait. That's not fair. Because what we did was we gave you the statistics of real-life America and how things have gotten worse and not better.
But let me give you the rest of the statistics, because this is what we study. What we see is this big generation breaking apart. It's called a dislocation. And what we're seeing is two different generations within it. You have one group that is graduating, getting jobs, getting married, having kids, doing all this stuff, taking on a profile and a trajectory that is traditional, just 3 to 5 years delayed. And then you have a whole other group that may or may not have graduated school. We don't know yet. But they are still underemployed or unemployed and waiting for some handout or somebody to come save them, or they're blaming everybody else. And what's fascinating is within this generation, as it breaks apart, these two groups stop identifying with each other, and it's creating rifts in companies, and it's creating rifts in communities, and it's creating rifts in the own generation.
The reality is we've never had a situation before. I think of my father. My father grew up really dirt poor. And I think my grandparents came here at the turn of the last century. One grandfather had 25 bucks in his pocket, the other had 30 bucks in his pocket. And then I think of my father grew up poor in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. And each generation, their goal was to leave this country and make things better for their children than what they grew up with. And that's not happening now. Alexandra, go ahead.
There's a huge emphasis, I think, in the media placed on negative stereotypes associated with the GOP brand, and that's what we at College Republicans seek to fix with younger voters. But, I mean, if you even look at the stage tonight, the word obstructionist was used against our party
more a talking point.
Yeah, multiple times. And what we actually find is that in our research that we did, that there's, while the Republican Party brand does not fare as well with young people, neither does the Democratic brand. Young people want to see problem solvers. They want to see leaders that are unafraid to take on the big challenges of today.
Let me throw out a couple of quick things. I would balance the budget by, it's called the penny plan. I would cut 1 penny out of every dollar Washington spends and not increase the budget every year for 5 years. If I told you can balance the budget that way, how many of you would support it? We'll cut 1 penny of spending every year for 5 years out of every dollar Washington spends. Hands up. You'd be against that? Why? To save you from paying back this debt? You wouldn't support 1 penny. Would you do that at home if you had a budget deficit?
That's not a smart way to do it. You've got to be balanced in your approach to doing it.
That's balanced. 1 penny out of every dollar.
But I'm not going to do this on the backs of the poor, for example.
All right, I have more solutions when we get back. We'll take a break more with our millennial. We got the lightning round. When we come back, we'll talk about some social issues and much, much more. Straight ahead.